Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. In this video, we will be explaining about the segmental reporting and interim reporting of Axiata Group Berhad. But before that, let us introduce ourselves, the new lines of executive accountants.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurul Fatihah binti Kamaruzaman.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurhaniza binti Hamzah.
My name is Nur Iffah Izyan binti Zamri.
Hi, my name is Adriana Batrisyia binti Bahrain.
Hi, my name is Wan Muhammad Anas bin Wan Muhammad Wasdi.
In the first part, we will be talking about the segmental reporting under FAR570.
First of all, I will present the company background. Axiata was incorporated on June 12, 1992 as an international business division of Telekom Malaysia, which is Malaysia's state telecommunications company. The headquarters located in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It was later separated from Telekom and listed in 2008. As one of Asia's leading telecommunications group, Axiata has transformed itself from a holding entity with a portfolio of pure-play mobile assets to a triple-core strategy-driven business focused on digital telco, digital business, and infrastructure by 2024. Axiata, a mobile telecommunication operator, defines itself as an Asia-centric multinational. It owns cellular companies in Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Cambodia, as well as strategic stakes in India and Singapore. Axiata Group Berhad is one of Asia's largest mobile operators with a subscriber base on more than 240 million, a figure that has increased sixfold since 2007. Furthermore, Axiata was among the first company in Malaysia and Sri Lanka to provide 4G service. Next, in the part A, I'm going to explain about the management approach. Factor to consider in preparing segment report, first and foremost, is about nature of the business activities. Axiata Group Berhad is an investment holding company. The company is involved in the provision of mobile communication and network transmission related services on an international scale. It is active in the following segments, which is mobile, infrastructure, and others. They manage and operate business related to telecommunication system and provide management with engineering service, technical, and consultancy. Next is about nature of production process. Axiata is a telecommunication company that offers digital telco service. The company has control interests in mobile operators in Malaysia, Bangladesh, Nepal, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Cambodia, as well as significant strategic stakes in India and Singapore. In addition, the group has stakes in non-mobile telecommunication operations in Thailand and Pakistan. For an example, Axiata's mobile subsidiaries and associates operate under the brand name Celcom in Malaysia, SL in Indonesia, and Dialog in Sri Lanka. Next will be the types or class of the customer for the product and services. The targeted customers of Axiata to provide their service is to those people for all categories of income, such as anyone who owns electronic device, workers, and students. Finally, in terms of method used to distribute products or provide services, Axiata uses a telecommunication transmitter tower to distribute and provide services to their customers. After that, I will continue with type of segment. Axiata operates their segment using the geographical segment. Axiata primarily provides mobile and infrastructure service in 4 major geographic areas, which are Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Last but not least, I will explain about Chief of Decision Making and its responsibility. Dato' Izzaddin Idris was appointed as Managing Director and Group Chief Executive Officer of Axiata on 1st January 2021. He is responsible for the overall success of Axiata Group Berhad as well as making top-level managerial decisions. Dato' Izzaddin Idris is also in charge of overseeing the entire development of the company's short and long-term strategies as well as creating and implementing the company's or organization vision and mission. He is also in charge of communicating on the company's behalf with shareholders, government entities, and public finance decisions.
First, I will talk about the 10% threshold test. Usually, there will be 3 ways on how to calculate the 10% threshold test. First is by using revenues from the external and inter-segment revenues, which will be tested to meet 10% or more of the combined revenues of all operating segments. Next is by using the segment's reported profit or loss and tested whether it meets the 10% or more in the absolute amount of profit or loss. Lastly, it can be calculated by using the segment assets of the total assets and check whether it meets the 10% or more of all operating segments. This is our reportable segment. We will calculate it by using the first way, that is revenue. According to the reportable segment, the operating segment has 3, that is mobile, infrastructure, and others. Under mobile, it is divided into 6 countries, that is Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Cambodia. As we use the first way to calculate the threshold test, that is revenue, the total revenue of each segment will be divided with total revenue of every segment. As the result, for under mobile, operating segment mobile under Malaysia is get 24.2%, that is reportable, Indonesia 29.2%, also reportable, Bangladesh 14.6%, also reportable, Sri Lanka 10.6%, reportable, Nepal 5.8%, not reportable, Cambodia 5.3%, not reportable, infrastructure 7.3%, not reportable, and others 3.1%, not reportable. After we have done calculate the 10% threshold test, next we will need to check the 75% threshold test. 75% threshold test will be calculated by using the total external value. We will calculate it until it will meet the requirement of 75% of the entity's total revenue. However, if the 75% were not met, we should add other segment even though it does not meet the requirement of 10% threshold test. We will add the other non-reportable segment until it will meet the 75% requirements. As we know, the reportable segments are Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka from the mobile segment. Then we will add the external value from each segment and divide it with the total external value. And we will get 0.82947351 or equal to 82.95%. For the conclusion of the 75% threshold test, according to the 10% threshold for revenue, only segment Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, which is based under mobile, will be reported. It is because their sales constitutes 82.95% of the total external sales. Lastly is under constructing the new reportable segment. We have divided the reportable segment into 2, which is reportable operating segment, which included Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka based under mobile, and the other one is all other segments category, which included the Nepal and Cambodia under the base mobile, infrastructure, and others. That's all for me. Thank you.
Segment reporting also has its own advantages and also disadvantages. The first one we're going to see, the advantages of segment reporting is it enables investors to get a complete view of the company as the components of an entity for which discrete financial information is available. Next, it also can easily detect the profit and also loss of the company. This is because it is a component of an entity that engage in business activities from which it earns revenue or incur expenses, including inter-segment transaction. The third advantage is it helps in the optimum utilization of resources and better presentation. This is because the activities are regularly reviewed by the Chief Operating Decision Maker for resource allocation and assessing performance. Segment reporting also has its own disadvantages. Next, we are going to see the disadvantages of segment reporting. The first one, the data can be misinterpreted by the investors or creditors as there are many disclosures required. And not to forget, it is also a time-consuming process. The next advantages is the identifications of segmentation can also be problematic, as every base of segmentation may create segments differently and each base has its own limitation and own problem. The third disadvantages is some costs being imposed where the possibility of competitors to have access to the information of the company is high.
And the next part is regarding interim reporting under FAR570.
Interim financial reporting is a financial report for a period shorter than a full financial year. There are three methods of basis of preparations of the interim report, which is integral method, discrete method, or combinations of integral method and discrete method. Next, we are going to see what is defined by integral method and also discrete method. For the integral method, take a view that interim report is a fraction of the annual report, and it is also predominantly to predict and explain the financial information for a full financial year. For the discrete method, the interim period is a separate period which is distinct from the annual cycle, and it is also elements of an interim financial statement are defined in the same way as for the annual financial statement. And the next one is the reports are prepared on a periodic basis. For Axiata Berhad, the interim report prepared quarterly and also the periodic basis is 3 months.
Two accounting policies used in preparing the interim report. The first policy is FAR570, Property, Plant and Equipment. It defines PPE as tangible items that are held for use in the production or supply of goods and services, for rental to others, or for administrative purposes, and are expected to be used during more than one period. Axiata Group Berhad measured its PPE using cost model, in which cost less accumulated depreciation and any impairment losses. Their freehold land is not depreciated, as it has an infinite useful life, while other PPE is depreciated on the straight line method. Meanwhile, at the end of the reporting period, the company assesses whether there is any indication of impairment. If such indication exists, an analysis is performed to assess whether the carrying value of the asset is fully recoverable. The second policy is FAR570 Inventories. It defines inventory as assets that are held for sale in the ordinary course of business, in the process of production for such sale, or in the form of material or supplies to be consumed in production process or in the rendering of services. Axiata Group Berhad measured its inventories at the level of cost and net realizable value. Certain items such as spare parts and standby equipment are recognized as inventory if they don't meet the definition of property, plant and equipment under FAR570. Axiata Group Berhad published a quarterly report in which they issued 4 times in a year. The financial statements presented in this fourth quarter are consolidated statements of comprehensive income, consolidated statements of financial position, unaudited consolidated statements of changes in equity, consolidated statements of cash flow, and also selected explanatory notes. All of the statements are as at 31st December 2020 and the immediately preceding year 2019.
Next, we will move to the period for the current and comparative statement prepared by the company. Okay, For statement of financial position, current interim period is 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. And then for comparative period, it is 1 October 2019 until 13 September 2020. Okay, next we will move to the statement profit or loss and other comprehensive income. For the 3 months, we will be 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020 for the current interim period. And then for the comparative period, it will be 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. Okay, for the year to date, for current interim period, it will be 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. For the comparative period, it will be the same, which is 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. Okay, next we will move to the statement of the cash flow. For statement of cash flow, for current interim period, it will be 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. Next, for the comparative period, it will be the same, which is 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. Okay, the last one is statement of changes in equity. For statement in changes in equity, for current interim period, it will be 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. And then for comparative period, it will be 1 October 2020 until 31 December 2020. Last but not least, there will be adjustment for interim report. For adjustment for interim report, for inventory, cost which is 141.663 million ringgit will be compared with the NRV, which is RM 138.48 million. For the adjustment, the value of inventory is split from whichever is lower, which is between cost and NRV. So the value of the inventory after adjustment is RM 138.45 million. Okay, for trade and other receivable, for gross amount is 4.362.394 billion. But due to the unforeseen circumstances, there will be 10% uncollectible rate. So the estimate collectible rate is 90% of the total amount of the trade and other receivable. So the adjustment is 90% will be multiplied by RM 4.362.394 billion, which is RM 926.154 billion. The contents for consolidated financial position extract will be shown below, meaning that there will be new numbers for current asset of inventory and trade receivable after the adjustment.
That is all from us. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.